Hello YouTube. So I've got an interesting one today. This is a navigation aid for a DECCA system, and it's a map reader. You feed in a roll of map and it tells you whereabouts you are on it. Now it comes in this lovely wooden box, properly joined and everything. It's really very nice. Unfortunately, it had been covered with some awful nasty cloth backed white sticky tape stuff, which has just covered everything in this nasty gunk that's really hard to remove. So I've been cleaning it up a bit. But yeah, anyway, let's take a look. So yeah, here's the inside of the box. Here's the inside of the box. I don't think this has actually ever been used. It may have been used briefly, I guess. Complete with a rather nice serviceable sticker, dated 31st of the 10th 1968, which is quite interesting. And a few other modification records with no modifications recorded on them. So okay, fair enough. Here's the inside of the box. Have to find something nice to use that box for. Get that out of the way. So yeah, here it is. You can see. So you put your map, which would come in a great big roll, in here and in here, and it would be wound up and down, and this little strip here will be wound side to side to indicate your position on the map. A few little controls here for setting the scale and other bits and pieces. One quite nice little feature is obviously when you're loading the maps onto these, there's a lot of kind of winding involved. So instead of just having to muck about these thumb wheels, they include these little pull strings, which just sort of advance the rollers, so you can quickly get your map loaded in and tensioned up right. Don't quite know why this one is longer than this one, but there we go. Yeah, on the back there is a mounting thing and a nice D-connector. It's all very good, very nice military quality, as you'd expect. Let's just take this thing off. If you want one of these, and if you're horrified by the thought of my destroying it, currently they're selling on UK eBay for 30 quid, including postage, complete with a nice box, which I think is a pretty good deal. So yeah, and there's quite a few of them as well. The seller had I think it was 10 listed or something like that. So yeah, I don't feel too bad about destroying this otherwise quite nice bit of equipment. One quite nice feature is you undo this little lock screw, and the whole mounting thing on the back rotates. So you can orientate the thing however you like, in the probably quite cramped confines of a cockpit. So yeah, let's take it apart and see what's in it. Now where shall we start? Of course, all these screws are going to be glued in with some manner of sealant that makes them impossible to come out without mauling them all up. Oh, okay. So that's the back of the map indicator strip. This map indicator strip. I guess there was a chance it would wear out and break during use, so they made it possible to kind of easily access and change it. Okay, so that was the spring-loaded plexiglass cover for one of the map rolls. Nicely made, nice attention to detail. These bits are machined aluminium. Okay, it has silver Teflon wire. Well, Teflon wire, I assume it's silver inside. Okay, those screws did not want to come out. Quite sure why they decided pink was a good colour, but this may be some kind of peculiar electroluminescent thing. There's this strip across the back, which is clearly making an electrical contact, and there's two little contacts in here which mate up against there. So yeah, not quite sure about that. And finally, now we're starting to get inside the thing. So that's quite nice, there's a little light there. So what have we got here? We've got what look like a couple of motors, some sort of synchro thing, and something else in there. And a little drive circuit. Some kind of coupler here, although it's not immediately obvious what it's coupling. Oh, there we go, that, whatever that did. These things unfortunately are held on with Allen screws far too small for any of my Allen keys, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about them. Hopefully I can get quite far into this thing without having to worry about them too much, but from what I've seen so far, maybe that's a little optimistic. I'm sure there was a right way to take this apart, but I haven't done it that way, that's for sure. Okay, now get some focus. Okay, so these numbers were the speed indication. They show through this little window that says "not," and there's another little built-in here with the numbers printed on it. and a tiny little light bulb there to illuminate it. So that's quite a nice little feature. I guess there's a similar system here because there's another little window shart angle. Not sure what that actually relates to. Yes, see, we have a similar system here, with a light bulb, a little strip with numbers printed on it, and a whole bunch of rollers to move it around. Oh, that's interesting. Perhaps these are actually meant to be interchangeable then. Make sure I'd go about interchanging them. Okay, so this is that little circuit board. We have a couple of transistors, BSY25, whatever they are, a whole load of resistors, carbon composite things. There's actually nothing particularly exciting on there. A little preset potentiometer-y thing. Yeah, that's about it. Very nicely engineered sheet of aluminium, nicely anodized. This is a synchro control differential transmitter. Ready for some feedback thing. Feedback system, and this bit's really heavy, so I guess this is the gearbox that drove the whole thing. With these wheels fitting together like that, that's quite nice. These are stepper motors, at least that one is. Yes, they're both stepper motors. And they both have 5-6 wires, so I guess that makes them 4-phase or 2-phase, whatever it is. Well, that's very pretty. So yeah, there's some very nice machining engineering in here. Lots of little aluminium parts, all these cables neatly laced together and down to these little aluminium brackets. Right, so these are the cords that we saw earlier. That's quite nice. Seems there's some sort of friction clutch type things in each of these. Ah, and here was the wheel that drove the main strip that went across the map with little studs on to engage with the holes in the strip. Some nice little stepper motors. They'll be useful for something else. Finally! Okay, so there's a little worm gear here which drove the cross strip. Not entirely sure where that was driven from yet. Must have been one of those stepper motors. Right, so what is in one of these? So I think this is some sort of magnetic clutch system. It's got two wires going into it. So the rotational motion was coupled in there. Yeah, and if you turn that, there's a little bit of force on here, but not a huge amount. So I reckon they had that stepper motor constantly turning and then just engaged the clutch slightly when they wanted to move the map. Or maybe they had a clutch for direction, or so a single drive motor, and then just depending which clutch you engage between the between the two sections, your map turns in a different direction. The map moves in a different direction even. Oop. So this is quite nice. What have we got in here? This all looks very much like friction clutch type assembly. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be an electromagnet. Little bastard. Right, so it was this clip thing which was only accessible through there. Yeah, and it engaged in this little groove in the inside. Yeah, I'm not going to take this one apart as well. Far too much effort. So this is completely unmarked. Presumably it's a potentiometer. Yeah, it stops at one. It has a stop and a start, so that's just a little potentiometer thing. It's quite nice. Right, so I actually discovered this thing was completely broken. It would never have worked as it was, and the reason for that is this synchro control differential transmitter is completely seized up. It does not move at all. Even if I grab it with some pliers, I mean I can just about get it to turn, but it's really stiff. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of interesting. It's always kind of good when you find these little faults in these things, and yeah, there we go. One completely dead one of these. I'm not quite sure what could have gone wrong in this, because it's only 2 bearings. Let's take this apart actually and have a look inside. Right, so I've done one of these before actually. You have to take the contacts off, because these little brass contacts, they go right through, so unless you take the wires off, you can't get anything else off. Okay, so here we see the 3 contacts for the rotor in the middle, and the 3 contacts for the external windings. So I'll just brutally rip that off. Nothing there that would have stopped it rotating. So yeah, it's got the schematic on the side. So there's 3 on the rotor and 3 on the stator. So what we have to do now is get these annoying clippy things out. I don't actually have the correct pair of pliers to do this, so I'll sort of bodge it with this if I can. Still doesn't want to rotate or come out in either direction. So there is one of the bearings. That turns fine. Here's the other bearing. That turns fine as well. So what have gone on here? Well, it's full of nasty white stuff. That's a bit interesting. Looks like some corrosion product from something inside. I mean, the windings don't look in too bad condition. Interesting. So a lot of things in this this thing were quite corroded. I suspect because it had been stored in this wooden box, some kind of the chemicals from the wood or something kind of got out and slowly permeated everything and started to corrode the metal. It's quite common on cadmium plated bits, although I don't see why there'd be anything cadmium plated inside this. I mean, it's just steel and copper wire. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, yeah, it was completely seized up as you saw, so wouldn't have worked. Well, there we go. Another very complicated, high quality bit of electronics. Reduced to its constituent components. Yeah, and a bazillion really tiny and slightly corroded screws, which is a bit annoying to take apart. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Come again.